Being criticised is painful, like stupidly and unreasonably painful. Of course we get hurt over big criticisms, but we're so finely tuned to criticism that even small complaints can make us feel terrible. So I have been criticised for being selfish, rude, unkind, uncommunicative, a procrastinator, and the list goes on. At times, I have been all of these things. But the hilarious thing is that despite attracting often warranted criticism, it still hurts me. Humans are so silly. The other night I was grinding some chickpeas to make falafel, and my boyfriend sort of insinuated that I could actually improve on my chickpea grinding skills. Instantly, I felt hurt over chickpeas. But this is the nature of responding to criticism. Most of us have a gut response that rejects the idea that we, in our perfect wonderment, could be improved. And because being criticised hurts so much and damages our face and makes us feel small, we have a suite of techniques that we use to get out of it. I've called this lecture Criticism in the Matrix because I think that we're like Neo when receiving complaints. We dodge conflict and criticism bullets. Foundational work for how we do this was conducted by Jess Alberts from Arizona State University. In 1989, she interviewed 53 couples. They were asked to describe a time when they had criticised their partner and a time when their partner had criticised them, and then how both they and their partner responded and how they wished their partner had responded. As an interesting note, 12 people did not remember a time they criticised their partner, but only one did not remember a time their partner criticised them. Fishy, hey? Behavioural complaints were the most common, and thank goodness only 2% of criticisms were about one another's personal appearance. So now we get to the good stuff. The results revealed that people were pretty expert in trying to get out of criticisms, and there are a few different ways that they did this. These were to justify, deny, counter-complain, or pass. People who justify in response to criticism provide an excuse or an explanation of events. At first glance, this may seem positive, but while it doesn't deny that criticism is warranted, it does imply that the person being criticised should not be held accountable given the extenuating circumstances.
Look, love, I've been meaning to talk to you about something.
What is it, Phil? I'm watching Married.
Well, I just feel like lately we haven't been as intimate as usual. Like, when was the last time we made out? Like, really made out?
Look, I can't say you're wrong, Phil, but in my defence, you're not exactly Christian Grey, are you? He did all sorts. Perhaps if you tied me up, for example, or... and a cricket bat.
Maybe just a little cuddle?
Denying a criticism is basically just flat out saying that it's wrong and refusing to even engage with it.
Karen, that's my mug. Can you stop taking my stuff?
Honestly, Tim, I never do that.
People who counter-complain quickly level a complaint back at the critic themselves, changing the focus from their own behaviour onto their partner's bad behaviour. People who pass on criticism basically just fail to respond. They ignore or avoid the criticism. Justifying and denying were the most common responses to complaints. However, when participants were asked how they wished their partner had responded to the criticism, this is what the results looked like. In terms of the most undesired responses to criticism, all of the matrix-style dodges made the list. There was a final common response to complaints that I haven't really talked about yet, and it's a pretty revolutionary one: agreeing. Basically, people who agreed acknowledged the criticism and its legitimacy and usually apologised or made plans to improve. This was not the most common response. It actually only happened in about 1 in 5 criticisms, but it was the most desired response. So here is where I'm going to rant, and I think it's an important one. If you're listening to this lecture and understanding it, then you're a human. And if you're a human, you, like me, are an imperfect mess. You will, and I repeat, you will repeatedly and decidedly up. You are going to, over the course of your life, act without thinking, hurt people's feelings, get things wrong, do shoddy work, rob banks. Wait, no, not that one. But basically be a flawed and imperfect human. People don't just exist to hurt your feelings and do wrong to you. You will be the perpetrator in life as well as the victim.
Unbelievable. Tim, I've been doing this course called The Psychology of Communication, and this week they're talking about the things people do to get out of being criticised. Far out. Phil does every single one of these.
In general, we are less likely to recognise wrongdoing in ourselves than others. Your instinct when faced with criticism will often be that the person criticising you is a complete head, and that pretty much the only thing to do is to justify, deny, counter-complain or pass. But often there is usefulness in non-defensively hearing out complaints. This will be hard, but it may also be worthwhile. The content of a criticism may draw your attention to something you're doing that you could change or improve, whether it's academically or even within a relationship. In other work by Albert, she finds that happy and well-adjusted couples agree with one another more when criticised, relative to unhappy or maladjusted couples. There is also evidence to suggest that our first responses to criticism are really important, with acrimonious denial being the most likely to result in heated conflict. I want to make this very clear. There will be times when criticisms are cruel and unwarranted, and there will be times when you need to raise your voice and deny them and justify yourself and counter-complain or simply walk away. But in life, there will also be thousands of times when you are wrong and your behaviour or performance justifiably warrants criticism. It is a hard, lifelong task to be able to really listen to criticism and change our behaviour accordingly. But there is evidence to suggest that whether in relationships or at work, it can be worth it.